I'm here to talk about key issue, which is women, peace and security, which is within my mandate, which is looking at 1325. 1325 is one of the instruments that have been adopted by UN Security Council, which talk about the 4 pillars: women protections, participation, prevention, but also peace building, post-conflict reconstruction. So those 4 pillars are important in our coming discussion, and it's part of my mandate. Next year, we are celebrating Beijing. And we had in the Beijing process, Africa, that being the continent that have experienced many conflicts, we were part in that post-process. From the Dakar to the Beijing, you might recall, some of you who have been in Beijing, the young people should know that we brought the agenda of women, peace and security in Beijing by putting the tent in Beijing itself for women in crisis. So I can tell you that Africa contribute to that in putting the policy right, and that's where, when you look at the Maputo Protocol, the Solemn Declaration on Gender Equality, we have taken the ownership and leadership of 1325 with this, in this continent. Because conflict, as we continue to be what we say ravaging our continent. We have seen the situation in Rwanda, but thank God, Rwanda, after a genocide, is one of the great country when we have seen peace building that have worked, that we have seen women have reconstructed the country, that women are rebuilding. But now you cannot even imagine that Rwanda have gone through, the only country in Africa that have gone under genocide. So we need to applaud Rwanda for being a great example in the world, not just in this country, in Africa. So we have adopted Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, which is a people-centered, but also a gender equality, and where we prioritize the empowerment of women. We have flagship project, because Agenda 2063 is about aspiration. We aspire to silence the gun by 2020. Next year we will evaluate. We are not yet there. Country like South Sudan is still, Madam Minister can testify, Sudan is emerging from. We have still countries that are really in post-conflict reconstruction. And I think that is why it's important here, why we are looking into the agenda, economic agenda. We also look into how do we reconstruct our nation, and how do we make sure that we put women at the center. The experience have shown it. If I take South Africa, you know, after what they have experienced, is the women were part and parcel of the nation building. And we need to look at those examples like Rwanda, South Africa, and others. So let me tell you what my office is doing right now. We have developed what we said, the Continental Result Framework. When you don't count, you don't exist. So we have right now 25 countries that have adopted National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security. When I started this mandate, there were only 15 countries. Now we have 25. So we need to say, this is the first in any continent that have that number of National Action Plan. That's the reality. So it means that we are taking care of women, peace and security agenda. Not enough. So this framework have clear indicators that are going to guide us to measure progress. Share experience, but also measure progress. It has been adopted by the Peace and Security Council of the AU, and we wanted to see in the 4 pillars the numbers. but also the quantity, but the quality, the impact on the life of the people. Let's take one example in terms of participation. One example. How many, when we get into mediation, how many women are there sitting at the table? Most of the time, it's those who hold the guns that you have, not the women. We are not invited. But when you say, if you are not, sitting at the table and deciding on the menu, those at the table will order the menu and eat you. That's the reality. So you need to sit at the table and be part of that process. And that's why the African Union is creating a body of mediators, which is FemWise, as you know. It's just to see that when they say, where are the women? We say, the women are there. And they can contribute. It's a beginning. We need to make sure in each mediation we have women. And I am very happy to see here in the military service in Rwanda, Rwanda being one of the country that contributing troop, female troop in UN, but also within the African Union. And we wanted to salute the female soldiers that are fighting and defeating those that are attacking, such as Al-Shabaab or Boko Haram. The female are at the front. And we need to see in the pillar of protection that we see women soldiers at the front. And that's why I think some of the experience you will see, and my country, Senegal, for example, have a strategy of gender mainstreaming within our army. That is, again, another pillar. So how do we measure? And I wanted to link it to APRM. Because if I'm here today, is to see what Madam Karaja have said. How do you make sure that when APRM is measuring progress within the country, we have the right indicators included into the process which help us to report back. We need to have that report. How many women are in our army? How many women are mediation? How many women are involved as well in the post-conflict reconstruction? What are the mechanisms that we put for prevention as well, where women are leading? So those are some of the indicators that we are working on. But we are measuring the progress when we go to the field. Let me tell you, sisters, that we are doing solidarity mission to go on the ground, because what is important is not just to sit in Addis Ababa or in our capital, but to make sure that we go to the women themselves and ask them, what do they want? I can see Mamina Mohammed, Deputy SG, and myself, we have visited the Niger, we have visited Somalia, we have visited northern Nigeria, we have visited South Sudan, DRC, all the countries that are affected by conflict, but also to say solidarity as African women. We need solidarity. I recall my first visit to Rwanda, 1996, when we had the big conference here. That's the first conference after the genocide for all African women to come in solidarity to Rwanda. We saw the plight of our sister. We saw the site of genocide, what have happened. And we carried that message to the world to say that we are with Rwanda. We wanted the reconstruction with Rwanda. Our sisters are the ones that are rebuilding. So we need to have that chain of solidarity, not just after Rwanda, but everywhere when we see conflict happening. So my sister here, I'm sure that APRM is going to make sure that all together we build that chain of solidarity among us today in this forum, and make sure that African women that are suffering from conflict will benefit from the growth, that growth, economic growth that the ADB has been promising and will deliver, I'm sure, that we look into post-conflict reconstruction, but women being at the center of that program of reconstruction. On that tone, I think that we will have fruitful deliberation today.
Time to take a short break. I'll be back with sports news after this.